Hi everyone, it's so good to see you. Martin Luther King Jr. had a quote that I just wanted to go ahead and share with you today. And it says, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." And what's interesting is about that statement, have you ever been in a room that's full of darkness? Darkness cannot dispel more darkness. It can't make it dissipate. It can't make it disappear. You actually need to have some sort of light. Even if it's a match and you strike that match and you have light, it does expose and makes the darkness disappear. And so many times we have allowed darkness to come in. And we have darkness coming in from us from every different direction, from what people say, what we see, what we hear, everything around us that goes on all the time. So more darkness is not going to dispel the darkness. You need to be walking in light. And light is not just enlightenment. It's not just being educated. Light has to do with on the inside of you. And the only way that can change is what you meditate on. And if you're meditating on dark stuff, all you're going to reproduce is darkness. If you meditate on light, and I'm talking about pure light, I'm talking about God and His goodness, His wisdom, His word, that will actually dispel the darkness. But if we're focused on what's wrong and we focus on all these things, I mean, I know people that sit and watch real crime for hours at a time, and they're always afraid. They're talking about how fearful they are. I'm like, well, you're watching real crime all the time, you're not giving yourself, number one, a break from it, and number two, you're feasting, you're entertaining, you're taking those words and what those actions were, and you're embedding it in your mind. And there's not light being shown on it, it's the darkness that's being shown on it. And how can you combat that? You have to have a way to combat it. Otherwise, it'll change you, it'll warp you. And we don't want that. We don't want to have a distorted view. We want a right and true view. Now, I'm not saying that these things don't happen. I'm not saying you do not watch it. But I'm saying you've got to remember what those things are darkness. And you're allowing them to come in. And I'm just using that as an example. There are other examples out there. And we hear it in music. We hear it on TV shows. We hear it from our neighbors. We hear it in the newspapers. Well, there's not newspapers anymore versus digital. But there's so many things that we hear that's just so negative all the time. And we have to separate ourselves from that if we want to keep light. If we want to be that light that shines in the darkness. Now the second half of that quote is, "Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." Now I've met a lot of people, they go, "I love everybody," but if you disagree with them, they hate you. Okay, that's not love. All right? Love is, I don't agree with you, and that's okay that I don't agree with you. And I'm not gonna talk you down. I'm not gonna be mean to you. I'm gonna love you where you are, not where I think you should be. And that's hard, because when someone doesn't agree with us, we're like, why not? Why don't you agree with me? That I think you should agree with me. I think that you should work with me on this, right? But not everybody's going to have the same ideals. Not everybody's going to have the same background. Not everybody's going to see things the same way. It doesn't mean that both parties are wrong or both parties are right. But you have to decide for yourself, am I going to love this person regardless? Am I going to bless this person regardless? Am I going to help this person regardless? There's a difference. There's a difference between hate, and I watch it all the time. And most of the people that are shouting, you know, we love, we love, we love, are the ones that quickest turn around and they stab you in the back. Or they stab you in the front, depending on their mood. They don't understand what real love is. And love is so much more than a feeling. It's an action. It is not something that you go, well, I love you today but not tomorrow. No, it is a choice. So love is a choice. And so many times when we hear the words, and I hear it all the time, oh yeah, I love all these different people until they disagree with you. And you're like, I don't love them anymore. Well, you know, there are people in our lives that they're never going to agree with us. They just won't. They're just that way. They have different backgrounds, again, like I said, different ideals. They listen to different things, they do different things. And there are going to be some people who are going to watch this video going, well, I'm not a Christian, so why should I spend time in the Bible? Why should I learn? Well, the Bible talks about loving your neighbors as yourself. That's huge. If you're loving your neighbor as yourself, you're not out committing crimes against them. You're not out trying to degrade them. You're not out trying to tear them down. But see, the world doesn't see it that way. The world sees it very differently. But if you're really going to love someone, you're going to have to love them where they are, and that's really hard sometimes. I have to admit, it's difficult sometimes to say, I'm choosing to love you right now. I don't want to. I'm angry at you. I think what you're saying is wrong. I think what you're doing is foolish. I don't say these things to them out loud. I'm thinking it to myself. And I just go, okay, you got to remember, not everybody's in the same place. They don't think like you. They don't act like you. They don't have your same abilities. They don't have your same work ethic. So it's really important that you look at these things and say, I'm going to choose to love. Because when you choose to love, it's very different than saying, I only love you because you agree with me. I only love you because you believe the exact same thing I do. That's not real love. Anybody can do that. But real love goes past it. So think about this today. Darkness can't drive out darkness. Only light can. And you can't have light unless you know true light, which is God himself, which is Jesus. And hate can't drive out hate. Only love can. And you can't love unless you know the Lord who loved us even when we didn't know him, even when we denied him, even when we said, we don't want you. He loved us anyway. That is love. He made that choice. And he's making that choice for you today. He's making that choice for me. Because he loves us and he truly wants us. He doesn't care that we've had a bad day. He doesn't care that things went wrong. He cares about you. He cares about your soul. He loves you. He loves me. And even when we fall down and go boom, he helps us back up again. That's what love does. Love doesn't just rake you over the coals. You fell down 15 times a day. What's wrong with you? If you really love that person, you go and you help them back up and say, come on, we're going to work on this together. Come on. That's what God does with us. See, that's love. That's not hate. That's not frustration. That's, all right, come on, let's try again. Let's love. Let's make the choice to love. Even if somebody doesn't agree with you, even if they live completely opposite of you, it's going to take some work on our end to love. But if we would start choosing to love, it would change everything. Well, I do appreciate you coming by today. I wish you all well, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.